Nathan had always been captivated by finding lost things, which is why he often explored secluded areas around his town with his metal detector. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. One sunny morning, as he walked along a bushy area, his metal detector suddenly signaled furiously. With his heart racing, Nathan began to excavate the site, stumbling onto something he never even dreamed of finding. As Nathan unearthed what looked like an aircraft, the insignias and marks told a shocking tale, turning his face pale with disbelief. "Wow, wow, wow!" Nathan excitedly exclaimed as his metal detector went haywire. He had already found a gorgeous vintage watch a few meters down the road and was excited to see what he found this time. But as he dug through the dirt with his hands, he realized it was a lot bigger than he had thought it would be. He grabbed his small hand shovel from his backpack and carefully began to scoop away the dirt. Finally, after almost a whole day of removing dirt and grime, Nathan took a few steps back to take in what he had unearthed. It was a small aircraft. The sun was setting rapidly, so Nathan marked his location on Google Maps and headed home after taking a few photos. Tomorrow, he would come back to take a second look. As he arrived home, adrenaline was still coursing through his body. He wondered who he should call. Was this a case for the police, as a crashed plane could mean foul play? Or was it something he should call a museum about? But then it dawned on him that he would be prevented from investigating further as soon as he brought in a second party. So Nathan decided to keep his finding a secret for now. The next day, Nathan couldn't wait to go back. He called in sick for work and drove back to his marked location at the crack of dawn. As he arrived at the site, the morning sun lit up the dewdrops. It was almost magical to see. The first thing that caught Nathan's eye was some kind of marking on the side of the plane, which he thought he recognized from somewhere. Nathan took pictures of everything, including the strange markings and scratches on the plane and its surroundings. He felt like a true detective. Nathan was lost in thought when he suddenly heard a rustling sound behind him. Fearing it would be the police, Nathan quickly found a place to hide. He held his breath as he watched two men step out of the bushes, talking in hushed tones with each other. They clearly weren't police, but didn't look very friendly either. It looked like this wasn't the first time either of those men had seen the plane, as they began to cover it with foliage again. Nathan watched with anticipation, his curiosity greater than his fear. "Maybe we need to relocate the plane. Let's ask the boss," one of the men said. Nathan waited until he couldn't hear their footsteps anymore before he crept out of his hiding spot. He peeled back the layers of leaves and branches until the plane was exposed once more, revealing the distinctive markings he'd noticed earlier. Nathan got closer to the plane, studying every corner and crevice. He examined the cockpit, pressing on the canopy until it finally budged open with a creak. He inspected the worn leather seat and cracked dials, his fingers brushing over the dusty controls. He knew this find was unusual, and he needed answers. The wing panels had some deep scratches, and he noticed something loose that might contain hidden information. After carefully prying away the loose metal panel, Nathan uncovered a dusty logbook wedged between two support beams. He opened it with trembling hands, finding pages filled with notes, signatures, and maps. He took quick photos of the logbook before securing it in his backpack, eager to uncover its secrets. Nathan leaned in to examine the plane's markings, rubbing away grime to reveal a partially hidden serial number. He jotted it down, then stepped back to take more pictures. With the logbook tucked securely in his bag, Nathan dashed back to his car. Once he got home, he'd head straight to his computer and start digging into military records and databases. He began comparing the insignias to those in military records and aircraft databases. Hours passed as he scanned through endless records, noting similarities here and there, but nothing conclusive. Nathan's eyes strained as he sifted through images of aircraft and their insignias. He made little progress despite hours of research, unable to find a clear match for the markings. He stretched, his back sore from sitting hunched over. It was almost midnight, and he'd only narrowed down the possibilities slightly. In the morning he went to the city. Nathan started asking around about old aircraft crashes. He visited the local diner, spoke with regulars, and checked the Historical Society. People mentioned a ghost plane that had disappeared in the nearby woods, more folklore than fact. To get real answers, he turned to historical records. At the library, Nathan searched through archives and soon found newspaper articles from the 1960s about a missing aircraft. The details were scarce, but there were mentions of military activity in the area afterward, with soldiers sealing off parts of the forest. Some speculated the government had covered something up. Eager to investigate, Nathan packed his gear and prepared to return to the crash site, intent on documenting every clue. But as he dug deeper, strange warnings began. Anonymous notes urged him to drop the investigation, and mysterious phone calls told him to leave the site alone. His internet connection became erratic. Were these coincidences or deliberate threats? Realizing he was being monitored, Nathan took extra precautions. He switched to handwriting his findings in a locked journal and used encrypted storage for sensitive files. He varied his research locations and limited his time online, clearing his browser history after each session. Despite the risks, he pressed on. Armed with binoculars and a camera, he found a concealed vantage point on a nearby ridge. Hours passed in the moonlight until movement caught his eye. Unmarked vehicles arriving silently. A group of men emerged with scanning equipment, moving with precision as they swept the wreckage. Nathan carefully observed and documented everything. The men focused on specific sections, particularly the tail and cockpit. They took soil samples and bagged small fragments. As dawn approached, the team worked swiftly to pack up, their equipment vanishing into the vehicles. Within minutes, they were gone, leaving no trace of their presence. Nathan remained hidden, waiting until the last sound of engines faded before stepping out. There had to be something here worth hiding. Realizing the stakes were high, Nathan secured his notes and began organizing what he knew about the plane's markings and logbook. Mapping it out, Nathan saw a deliberate route, each stop part of a broader intelligence effort. Analyzing the wreckage and its location, Nathan speculated about the crew's fate. Had they diverted due to an emergency, or was there an unknown force behind their disappearance? The rapid cover-up suggested the mission's nature was highly sensitive. His determination deepened. He had to uncover the truth. Armed with his notes, Nathan planned his next steps. He packed essentials, flashlight, logbook, and camera, and revisited the crash site, examining markings and scattered cargo. Every clue mattered. Then, after further research, he identified the aircraft's insignia, a covert military unit specializing in espionage. The emblem belonged to a group involved in classified operations, their history shrouded in secrecy. The deeper he dug, the clearer it became. This aircraft had played a crucial role in secret intelligence efforts spanning continents. But why had the mission been erased? The implications were staggering. Determined, he planned his next move. He had to confirm his theories before deciding how to handle the information. With gloves, tools, and a flashlight, he returned to the wreckage at night, moving carefully. The plane was decaying, but he was convinced there was more to find. His flashlight flickered over the cockpit and fuselage as he searched for hidden compartments. Then, beneath the cockpit, he found a concealed panel. Dusty but intact, it clicked open to reveal a secret storage space. Inside were metallic containers, out of place, deliberately hidden. Nathan's pulse quickened as he examined them. Among the contents, he found outdated surveillance equipment, marked with the same military unit's insignia. But one item stood out, a sealed canister bearing a biohazard symbol. Its presence confirmed a specialized mission, likely involving biological surveillance. Realization struck. This wasn't just intelligence gathering. The aircraft had been part of a Cold War-era operation that involved biological monitoring. The canister's sealed condition suggested it had remained untouched for decades. Nathan took photos, documenting everything before carefully placing it back. He now held the key to unlocking a long-buried secret. The next step was deciding what to do with it. The mission was so sensitive that the aircraft's true purpose had been buried under layers of secrecy. Nathan understood the weight of his discovery, revealing it could change the way people saw those tense decades of history. Nathan stood at the wreck, absorbing the sheer scale of what had been hidden from the world. Overwhelmed, he wrestled with the ethics of exposing this information. Should he bring the truth to light, or would it cause more harm than good? He tried to organize his findings, knowing he had to be careful about what he revealed. While examining the hidden compartment, he was suddenly confronted by two men, government agents. They blocked his path, eyes locked onto the surveillance equipment in his hands. "That's classified," one of them said. Nathan hesitated but didn't put the equipment down. The tension in the air was thick as the agent surveyed the wreckage. "What are you doing here?" the second agent demanded. They explained they had been monitoring the site to recover any remaining classified materials. Taking the canister and equipment from Nathan's hands, they carefully placed them back into the compartment. "This area is a national security concern," one agent stated. "We can't risk sensitive materials getting out." Nathan listened as they detailed the aircraft's mission, its ties to Cold War intelligence, and the potential global risks of disclosure. The plane had been part of a biological surveillance operation, one that had been erased from history for a reason. If exposed, it could unravel fragile alliances and disrupt decades of diplomatic stability. Faced with the choice of revealing or concealing the truth, Nathan paced, the weight of the agent's words pressing on him. They weren't threatening him, but their message was clear. Sharing what he knew could have serious consequences. He understood their position, but his own principles pushed back. The world had a right to know, didn't it? The agents offered a deal. If he remained silent, they would ensure the situation was handled responsibly, without unnecessary fallout. Nathan took a deep breath, considering the gravity of his decision. He glanced at the wreckage one last time, running his fingers along its cracked metal frame. In the end, he gave them a solemn nod. He would keep the secret. The agents moved quickly, securing the site and removing every trace of the operation. They sealed classified materials in heavy containers, ensuring nothing remained. Within hours, the aircraft was gone, the hangar emptied of its secrets as if none of it had ever existed. Nathan stood there for a moment, feeling the weight of what had just happened. He had uncovered a truth few would ever know, yet he had chosen to let it remain buried. It was the right decision. At least, that's what he told himself. As he walked away, he slipped a small fragment of the aircraft's insignia into his pocket, a personal memento of the truth he had glimpsed but could never share. At home, he placed the insignia on his desk beside his logbooks. His journey had changed him, showing him the delicate balance between history, secrecy, and the pursuit of truth. He leaned back in his chair, still lost in thought, knowing he had touched the shadows of history and that history had touched him back, had touched